If only I had spidey senses, so I can tell when something's wrong. Oh, and I'm in search to protect this heart from breaking into pieces. Where's my hammer? Where's the shield? Oh, the strength to carry the weight of the world. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall.
Now, here's your host, DJ Host with the Most.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Snap Decisions. This is your host with the most, your Snap DJ, and I am coming at you late on a Saturday. Saturday? No, my gosh, it's Sunday. What am I thinking? See, I've lost all track. I've lost all track of date and time, and oh my gosh. Anyway, it's Sunday. And I am coming to you with the latest episode of the podcast. Should be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. And going down my list here, we are going to do the card rankings for the new month, Beach Bash. Beach Bash. So we've got the beach cards and all those fun beach variants and stuff like that everybody was kind of getting upset over a little bit. But that's all coming up. We're going to talk the best 6 card, and that's going to do it. We've come all this way. We've done all the worst, and now we've done all the best. So the best 6 card in Marvel Snap, we're going to talk about that today, and we'll end that discussion. Then we are going to talk about Team Clash and my thoughts on that. It's really starting to grow into kind of my least favorite mode, and I'll explain why that is when we get to that section, and of course I'll talk about my week in Snap as well. Again, it's kind of cool when you do hit Infinite a little early, and you can just kind of mess around. There's really no, I couldn't, like I said, I told you guys many times before, I couldn't care less about my rank. So it doesn't matter at all to me. Once I hit that, I'm good, and then I can just go on to other things. But since really all I had was Team Clash, well, again, I'll get into that in just a little bit. And I'll talk about the coveted variant that I finally was able to get after all these many months of anguish and upsetment, and you guys heard about it on here many times, and finally it appeared in my shop. I was shocked. Like I never expected to see it again, and finally it appeared there, and I was able to get the holy grail of my collection, the Galactus that was at the end of the album that I needed to collect. That last variant in is now mine, and that's probably forever going to be my Galactus that I'll play now, because it was just so damn hard to get. And so we'll talk about that. Then we have a lot to do in Comics Corner. We got to catch up. So we're going to talk about Ikari. We're going to talk about Lady Bullseye and Stick today in Comics Corner, and where you can find them all in the Marvel Unlimited app, and so on and so forth, and in comics. And then we're going to go into, of course, a minute at the movies, which is always a longer segment. I mean, we got a tease from the Russos. We got some merchandise and some cover art and stuff from merchandise and stuff like that from Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is coming closer and closer and closer. In my store, we got Funko Pops of the Hulk, from the film. So, the merchandising is starting to come for Spider-Man Brand New Day, and it's not going to be far out. And also, I'm going to talk a good amount about Disclosure Day. I have told you guys how excited I am for this. Well, now I'm even more. Because of some of the early reviews and what people are saying and stuff like that about it, and the last trailer that they just showed, oh man. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about the back rooms and what people are saying about that movie. And of course, we got Supergirl on the horizon. So a lot of stuff going on in the movie world. We'll talk about all that. Spider-Man Noir. I don't know if any of you watched it. I watched most of it. Haven't quite finished it yet, but very enjoyable so far. Nicolas Cage playing the role very well, and I figured he probably would. So we'll talk all about that. When are we getting that Doomsday trailer? When do I think at this point that we're going to get it? I think it's going to be later than a lot of people thought. And, but I'm pretty sure I kind of know, and I may have said this in the past, but I'm pretty sure I kind of know when we're going to get it. Of course, X-Men 97 is coming up very soon. Spider-Man Brand New Day. And I'm going to pose the question to a lot of you out there that listen to my show. Now, I know this is a Marvel podcast, but I'm going to talk a little Star Wars. And is Star Wars, the IP, truly dead? Is it truly dead? And believe me, I don't want that to be the case. I'm a huge fan of that, probably just as much as I am for Marvel Comics and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. Of course, Mando and Grogu not doing good. It had a 64% drop from 1 week to the next in theaters. On track to become the lowest grossing movie in Star Wars history, even below Solo: A Star Wars Story. So, is Star Wars truly dead? We'll get to that. Then, of course, we'll talk Pixel Perspective, revisiting some old favorites. So I've been playing some older games lately, and been revisiting some stuff. And there's even some games, and I'm gonna have you guys kind of give me some of your comments on this. But if you could I thought this was interesting. I think I saw this on X. If you could take a game that you played in the past, and you could have someone remake it for the current systems, the current gen, or updated, what would that game be? And it could be anything. It could be anything. So let me know. I'd love to see the comments, whether it's going to be, whether it's on Spotify or wherever, my YouTube page. I'm also going to post it on Twitter because I'm really curious. I have one of mine, and I'll get to that over in Pixel Perspective. Well, let's talk about new releases coming out this week and more there, and then we will wrap it all up in a nice little bow. All right, so I guess we'll get right down to it, and we'll do the card ranking for the Beach Bash. And I'm also going to talk about another variant that I picked up that I absolutely love. And it helped me to master one of my favorite ever Marvel characters. So we'll talk about that too. But let's do the rankings for Beach Bash, okay? So first of all, we're going to just go through the cards real quickly again. And we have 8 cards we're getting. And the first one, of course, is this season pass, and that is Jeff the Baby Dolphin. He is a 2/2. Boost 1 plus 1 each card you reveal here, and it's movable once. So movable is now a keyword. And, of course, we're going to see more of that in Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is the next set that's coming out. So we'll see more of that movable keyword there. But Jeff is a movable card, and you can move him once. And then it says boost, give +1 each card you reveal here. So boost +1 each card you reveal here. So he's kind of a buffer. Is he better than the original Jeff? We'll get into that. Then the extended season pass is going to be Venus. Venus is a 3/3. When your cards in play are boosted, they get an extra +1. So obviously she works with that boost ability that Jeff has. Then we have Monstro. Monstro's an 8/8. This card cost is reduced by the cost of your deck's top card. So obviously if you play him in a deck of big dumb idiots, where, if you get a 6-cost card, he's going to be a 2-costed 8-power card. Whether or not that's good, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Then we've got the new Jubilee, Jubilee Silver Surfer, and she is a 4/2. When you draw a card, boost it with this card's power. So obviously boost is a big word this month too, but you're going to boost it with her power. So this is another card where if you boost her, she's going to be able to boost it, kind of like the whole Maverick thing, which is honestly getting a little boring to me. I'm kind of tired of seeing all that stuff going on. It's even going on in Team Clash now because Maverick's in there. So I'm kind of getting a little sick, and I put out a comment on Twitter to kind of vent my frustrations. But again, we're looking at a meta that is very static, very boring. Everybody boosting. Get the big Maverick as big as you can, and then hit the Brood at the end of the game, and maybe even copy the Brood at the end of the game with an Absorbing Man. It's quite boring. It just really is. It's quite boring. And again, now we're at that. It just seems like they just keep making cards that are going to keep making these same other cards better. And I don't get it. I listened to the crew over at Snap on this today, their latest episode, and they were doing their rankings, and I heard them talking about, it just really seems like it's just the same old all the time. We had that Star-Lord meta, and now that card got nerfed, and then it just seems to go back to the Maverick meta. We're stuck around these same cards constantly, and this is what you see, right? Like, this is what you see. It doesn't matter what new cards come out, and it doesn't. And now, if you're going to put out cards that are going to make those even better, I don't know, man. Like, it's just getting to a point where it's just extremely boring, and you're just seeing everybody just playing these same decks, and I don't know. That doesn't bring me enjoyment or fun, really. I mean, again, it's a beat 'em, join 'em kind of a thing, and I never, I told you guys when I used to play Magic, I never understood that. I could never be one of those people that did that. I didn't conform. And I like to play my own thing that I enjoy playing. And to be honest, I can't see that all these people that are playing these decks necessarily enjoy them. I personally think they're doing it just because they know they're winning decks. And whether they see that because they see it, another creator playing it, or they see someone saying it's the best deck in the game, or whatever the case might be, then that's why they're playing it. And I don't think, then it comes down to this. What do you play this game for? And I think I've mentioned this before. Do you play because you have to win, or do you play because you enjoy it? Or does winning lead to your only enjoyment? And I guess that's the psychology behind it all. Do you have to constantly always win in order to enjoy playing something? And I don't know. I guess a lot of people's response to that is probably yes. No one necessarily plays to lose a game. And that goes back from the time when people were very, very young and taught how to play games. I mean, I guess in a way, you learn very young as a kid, and it really depends. I'm going to harken back to an episode of King of Queens that I watched. I love that show. And there was an episode where Carrie, Doug Heffron, if you don't know the show, it's about a UPS driver who's married to a woman on the show. It's, and it's all about their exploits. So it's Doug Heffernan and Carrie. And there was a thing where Doug and Carrie were over their friends' houses, Deacon and Kelly, and they had game night. Like they had a game night. And, Doug is playing, and then they're all, and he finds out that his wife Carrie like cheated to win. Like she cheated out her friends to win. Like they were on a timer to guess an answer to a question, and Carrie flipped the timer sooner than she should have, and Doug noticed it. And then he kind of took umbrage by it and mentioned it to her, and she was like, "No, I didn't do that." She denied it. And then, Doug finally got her to admit that she cheated. And like, he couldn't believe it. Like he cause they were playing with friends. It was supposed to be this friendly game. And, she was playing like cutthroat to the point of where she cheated. And it goes on throughout the episode where you find out that the reason that she did that was because of her upbringing and how her father used to, when he used to play games with her, used to always win. And he used to have to win. Like many times when you're a parent, you want to teach your kids how to play fair, and you want to teach them how to do things the right way. But a lot of times you're not playing as hard, you're kind of allowing your kids to win maybe a little more and things like that, because you want to kind of give them that feel good moment, right? Like that they be, and maybe not all parents are like that, but I often wonder, like, does it go back to the Carrie and Doug thing where, you were raised that, and I don't know, maybe you had a parent or maybe someone who was a guardian or something like that taught you that you must win at all costs. And I know that, there's a lot of competitive people out there. There's a lot of people who are like that, and that, if I don't win, then I'm a loser. And there is no in between. I'm either a winner or I'm a loser. And I am not going to be called a loser no matter what it is, no matter if it's a game of checkers or whether it's something something like a sport, right? Like football or baseball or something like, there's no middle ground. I'm either a winner or I'm a loser, and there's no middle ground. Thus, I have to win at all costs or I'm a loser. And I'm taking that in my brain. So that makes me wonder, like, are people that play these kind of games, which are absolutely meaningless, and the only people who are going to know that you lost personally, and see, this is the thing, like, if you're in a sporting, like a tournament or something like that, right? Let's say you're in like a weightlifter competition or a golf tournament or something like that. Well, then you're playing with other human beings that you probably more than likely know in some way, shape, or form. And maybe you don't know them all, but you're probably in a group. Like, let's say you go to play golf against another group of people that you're playing golf with. Generally, you're going to know those people, right? You may not be friends with them all, but generally you're going to know most of those people, and they're going to know you. But when you're playing a game like this, and you're playing like a digital card game or something online, you don't know any of these people. You don't know who the other person is on the other. And even in Snap, you're never going to know who that person is. They're using an identity that you have no clue who they are. You're not even getting a name. Generally, you're getting fake names. So no one's going to know you, and you're not going to know them. So it really just doesn't matter. In more ways than one. Like I said, when you're playing a game of basketball, let's say you're playing a game of 2-on-2, well, you know each other. I used to play 2-on-2 basketball, 3-on-3 basketball sometimes, and I would have two of my friends on my team, and we play against, three other people that may or may not have been friends of ours. And yes, at that point in time, you're kind of cutthroat. You want to beat those people, right? Unless you're all friends and it's a friendly game, and then it's like, okay, who cares, right? But, again, you go back to that whole mentality of, do you only get enjoyment when you win something? And my grandfather back in the day my grandfather taught me how to play checkers. And, I know that looking back at it, that my grandfather a lot of times would let me win, because my grandfather was very intelligent. And, I'm sure when I was 6 or 7 years old and stuff like that, he would let me win, because it just was a good feeling, right? For the kid to, to feel like he was beating the grandparent or the parent, but I don't know, man, like that mentality, I think, has really gone away. And I don't know if video games have done it per se, or especially these kind of, and this could be a lot why I don't like, and I can't really play them anyway. I've told you guys that. I don't really like those games that you play that are like Call of Duty or now, but that may not be a really good example, because a lot of times people are on teams in Call of Duty. So I don't know, maybe like Fortnite, games like that. Like I don't want a competition of me against 30 other people and stuff like that. I don't find joy in that. That's why I like playing a lot of single player stuff, a lot of RPGs, things like that. That's what I'm into. And in Snap, it sucks losing, and I've told you guys that. Like, when you get on a run and you just can't pull out a win to save your own behind, like you're just losing and losing and losing and losing and losing. It sucks. That feeling sucks. It stinks to lose. But, like, is it so important? And I guess I ask this because maybe if it is, it's maybe not the right way to be, but is it so important to, and again, I guess I'll go back to my initial question here and what this is all about. Is it more important to have fun in the game of Snap, or is it more important to you to win? And I guess that's the question I have. And that could be why so many people play the same decks, because to them, winning is above all. And it doesn't, and I would bet that a lot of those players don't get much enjoyment out of this game for the lore of it, or much enjoyment out of this game to look at the cards and say, oh, that's cool. This is a character I read about in comics, or this is a character I liked when I was growing up, or wow, this is in like the Marvel universe. This is kind of a cool thing. Instead, you're looking at a point total. So, and I guess, I don't know. I'd love to hear from both sides. Like, if you're looking at a point total and you're just looking at that brood when you're seeing like 16 power broods go onto your board and you see 16, 16, 16, are you even looking at the cards at that point? Or are you just looking at numbers? Because boy, I'll tell you, I don't think I would enjoy this game at all if I were just looking at a bunch of numbers. I think I would get extremely bored by it, and it certainly wouldn't be something that I would want to continue to play. Numbers are important, sure. Just like when I was playing Magic, your life total is important. You go from 20 to 1 and then you lose, But that's not the only enjoyment I ever got out of the games, or I would have quit them a long time ago. But again, everyone's different. And but anyway, that's my little editorial piece for this. It interrupted the card rankings, but anyway, that's my little tangent for the week. All right. We are going to the next one, which is Quicksand. Quicksand is a 2/4. The next time your opponent would start a turn with bonus energy, they don't get it. Boy, we could have used that card when Star-Lord was running rampant. Then we've got the Submariner, Namor himself. When this card is boosted, add a random 1-cost character to your hand with that same boost, if in hand or in play. Then we've got Namorita. When you draw a card, give it -1 cost if this is your only card here. She is a 3/5. And then lastly, we have Triton. Triton is a 3/4. On reveal, boost +3, the last character played by each player last turn. So each player is going to get the boost from Triton. So, okay, I'm going to rank these. And I'm going to do, I told you guys last month I'm doing them a little bit different now. I'm going to rank them very similarly. I like the ranking system that Snap-on This uses. So I'm going to rank these 1 through 4. And give you, I will give you my best ones for the month. So Jeff, the baby dolphin, again, boost +1, each card you reveal here, and it's movable once. I'm going to give Jeff a 3. I think he's pretty decent, for a season pass card, and that whole movable thing and the boost thing as well. So it's kind of like somebody was, I think Snap-on This was saying that, well, there goes Nightcrawler down the tubes. Kind of, right? Like, I think this card is going to be a little bit better than Nightcrawler. So Jeff, I would give a 3. Then we got Venus. When your cards in play are boosted, they get an extra +1. I mean, it's okay. I don't like her stat line. 3 3s don't thrill me. Could have been maybe like a 3-4, a little higher or something like that. She doesn't excite me at all. To me, it's a very boring card. I'm going to give Venus a 2. I really am not that fond of the card. Next, we're going to go to Monstro. Monstro, of course, this card's cost is reduced by the cost of your deck's top card. Even if it's a 6 card, right? Would you be playing this in a deck that has a bunch of like big dumb idiots? And the question is, and even if you're getting a 2/8, there are probably better ways that you can get a 2/8. In fact, we just had one, right? Juggernaut. Juggernaut is probably better than this. So, I mean, it's not horrible. I would say like maybe a 2.5 on this. I don't see it's a card I'm going to really be playing because there's just better things out there to do that you can do that's going to do the same thing. If this card was like an 8-10 and you got it down to a 2-10 or something like that, or even a 2-9, I could see. But at an 8, I don't know, man. Like it almost seems like 8s in Snap are kind of cursed. Because like we had 8 with Spider-Man Noir, and he kind of stinks. So I don't know. I don't know if they're just trying to make like a good 8 card. I understand why they did with Monstro, because he's an 8-legged creature. So I get it why they made it an 8/8. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that good. Next is Jubilee. She is, like I said, a 4/2. When you draw a card, boost it with this card's power. So this one's probably a 3. It's probably going to go into all the decks we're seeing now, like I told you about with the Brood and Maverick and all that kind of stuff. Boost it up, and it's going to boost something else, and it's going to boost something else. Symbiote Spider-Man or whatever. All those cards that are in there are just going to get boosted and stuff like that. So this is... The only question about her is you have to play her on turn 4. So is it kind of late in the game to do it? Maybe. But I still think the card is probably a 3. Quicksand, this, like I said, this would have been great during the Star-Lord meta. Well, Star-Lord's kind of dead. Since they nerfed it took a while for people to really realize it, but they finally stopped playing the card. However, this card I think is going to be a little sneaky. I think this card is going to sneak into kind of like when Stardust came out, right? Only a few people really saw good. I have to credit Safety Blade, because Safety Blade's always been a big proponent of Stardust. And I can remember seeing that and talking to you guys when I ranked it. And I ranked that pretty high because I told you that card could stop a whole lot of stuff. And people didn't really even note it. But, I mean, for you're playing against a Destroy deck with a Stardust, they're screwed. Like, you can really stop a certain deck with Stardust. And I think this card might end up being similar to that. I think this is going to be a surprise kind of a card that if you play this, your opponent's really not even going to think much of it until there comes a time when they were doing something, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be Star-Lord. There's other things that give you energy, whether it be Merlin, or whether it be, I can't think of all the other things off the top of my head. Fallen One, it isn't really used much, but Wiccan. There are other things in decks that give you energy that you don't even really realize it. A Psylocke, let's say, for Mr. Negative, that it kind of really relies on that. So I think this card is going to sneak up on people. It's going to be a little tricky. And but the question is, and I know the Snap on This folks mentioned it on their show, is who's going to want to stick it in their deck? A 2/4 is not a bad stat line. I mean, when you're playing Wiccan, you're playing Quicksilver, and then you're playing Domino, and Domino's a 2/4. So it's not a horrible stat line. It's not great, but it's not horrible. But this is one of those things that I think, like Stardust when it first came out, that I don't think people are going to really realize what you've done until they go to try to do something. And when they do, when they realize, oh crap, they're going to have to retreat. And I think Ree mentioned on their show that, you may want to wait and play this until later in the game when these decks try to get that big last turn, which a lot of people are doing lately, where they're going to try to get that big last turn play, and it may involve getting extra energy to do it. And then all of a sudden you play this on turn 5, and it thwarts their entire plan, and it's a snappable condition at that point. So I kind of like this card. We'll see, but I kind of think this is going to sneak up on some people. I'm going to give this one a 3.5. I'm thinking that this one might be a very sneaky card, and people are going to just think Star-Lord when they hear it, and think like, oh, I don't play Star-Lord, so I don't care. But then they're not even going to realize, like, some of the stuff they were doing needed the extra energy, and now they don't get it. So I think this is going to sneak up on some people. I really do. Next is Submariner, a 1/2. When this card is boosted, add a random 1-cost character to your hand with that same boost if in hand or in play. This is a strong card, probably the best one of the month, which is cool. I've often said Namor's card sucked, so it's kind of nice he's getting a better one. But this is probably the best card of the month. So I will say I would give this one I'm going to give this one a... It's hard to say it's a perfect card. So, I gave Quicksand a 3.5. I guess on that respect, I'll go 4. Because I definitely think that this is the best card of the month. Then we have Namorita. When you draw a card, give it a +1 cost. If this is your only card here. -1. You give it when you draw a card, give it a -1 cost if this is your only card here. Yeah, this doesn't thrill me. Again, that 3/5 stat line. I know some people were thinking about maybe playing it in Surfer, but I don't know. I don't even know that Surfer wants this, to be honest. I'm gonna give this one a 2. I just don't think it's all that good. And then last but not least, we have Triton. Triton is a 3/4 on reveal. This is boost +3. The last character played by each player last turn. You're boosting a card of your own, but you're also boosting the other player's card. I don't really see how that can be good. So I'm going to give that one a 2. So my favorite card of the month is going to be Submariner, followed by Quicksand, and then I would say the Season Pass, Jeff the Baby Dolphin, along with Jubilee. Then I would go Venus. Then I would go Namorita. Then I would go Monstro, and then I would go Triton. So that's how I have them ranked. And they are the cards of the month. So they're all 8 cards we are getting for this month. I'm looking forward to a little bit more so Spider-Man Brand New Day. I'm pretty excited about next month and all the characters and stuff that we're getting from that, more so than this one. So we'll see. But let me know what your favorite card of the month is and which one you're most looking forward to picking up this particular month of March in Beach Bash. So, all right. So there you go. That is my card rankings for this coming month. And now we are going to get to the last part of what I started quite a while ago now, and that is the best cards in Marvel Snap at every cost. We've gone down the list, and we are coming to the close here. And I wrote, it's that time, everyone, to vote for the best 6 card in Marvel Snap. I've got some of my choices below. Choose from these or whichever 6 is your favorite. All responses read out on this week's pod. Pretty sure you know what my choice is. And I wrote Neil next to that. So yeah, I don't think you're going to have a hard time wondering which one my choice is of all these. But I listed, of course, Galactus First Steps as well. Arnim Zola and Null. And then, of course, I have Thanos, Doctor Doom, the Infinite, and the Hulk. So there are some of the ones I put down. And let's see what everybody has written here below on the post. So first, I've got Purple Death, and that's Rob. Shout out to Rob. I have to go Arnim Zola. He just changes everything once he hits a spot. A 0 power that can win 2 lanes. Amazing. I just use him in as many decks as I can. A lot of people love Zola. A lot of people love Arnim Zola and what he does. He's been a big staple of decks for a long time, especially in destroy lists. And also in those Black Panther lists that they, go all the way back to the start of Marvel Snap. So this card has been around and he's been a favorite for people for a while. So thank you, Rob. Then we've got Zodrex. Said, yes, the card that people fear, Neil, before Galactus. Zodrex says, love it. Thank you, Zodrex. And then Danny Kramer below that comment says, I highly approve of this message. Loving the Galactus love. Love it. Vladimir says, the best is definitely Zola. My favorite is Thanos. Maybe that's a vote for both or just for Zola. Richard says, Doom rules all. Well, we're coming closer to Doomsday, so just in time. 13 Grease says, Gore for me. Must be a negative player. Got to be a negative player. Blaine Willits. I think that's how I say your name. Willits. Sorry if I botched your name, but he says, Neil. And it has the comic book Galactus. Love the Galactus love, man. I love it. I love it. I wrote great choice. Andrew says, Galactus is my favorite to use, but Red Hulk, starting in your hand and ending up at like 19 power consistently is great fun. And for the big brain folks, the leader. If this question were asked, years back, it would have been the leader. Leader was so prominent. When I first started playing this game, everybody was using it. And then along came Galactus later on, because Galactus, he came out later when they started doing those crazy rare cards that they would come out with. But yeah, look, Leader is and every now and then it pops up in the deck. I think Binks was playing with Leader recently, and it takes a lot of people by surprise. They just don't expect it. So. Marin Hondia says, Zola. Most overpowered things you can do have something to do with Zola, and his numbers are hard to change. I think you meant hard to challenge. Hard to challenge, I think. All right. Well, this is turning into a close one here. I'm going to go over to Blue Sky and see... I think I got some responses on this. Let me take a look. A couple votes here. No love for Thanos. Kind of surprised by that. Especially, well, I guess he's not as good as he used to be. But I mean, I would think that players that are early on in Snap would probably really like it, because it gives them something else to play now that that's been a thing. Hulk doesn't get much love either, but I can understand that. He's really mostly the deck that he's in is high Evo. So nothing for null. That shocks me because of all the Destroy players that are out there. And almost all the ones that consistently play it always have a null in their deck. Always. So no love for null. Little bit for Doctor Doom. Nothing at all for Infinite, even though he is the most strong card in Marvel Snap. Albeit it is hard to get out of there. So, man, this is a close one. Let me count these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16. Okay. I'll go to the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So your winner of the best 6-cost card in Marvel Snap. And no, I didn't rig it. If you think that I did not rig it. This came from the vote counts. It was 18 to 15 by 3. Neil, before Galactus, is the best 6-card. And I wonder if I had any influence on the voting. But in any case, Galactus is your winner. And I love it. I'm very, very glad of that. It's long been my favorite 6-card. Long been. And probably since, I told you guys the story of how I got that card. From the very, he was my first, I forget even what they called them back then, but he was the first, big card, whatever the version was, super rare, I don't even remember now what they referred to them as, but he was the first one that I opened in a pack, back when they first started, releasing those larger cards. And I can remember you seeing it thinking like, what the hell? Why would I even want to use this card? But you all know the story. But anyway, there you go. Galactus is your best 6-cost card in Marvel Snap. So, look, guys, it's been a long journey, a lot of weeks, and thank you all. I really, really appreciate all your participation in this throughout the course of the time. But we went back and we ranked all of them from bad, the worst, to the best. Good to bad, bad to good, and I appreciate it. Thank you all. I'm going to continue to do some things that will involve you guys. I'll just have to try to figure out what I want to do. But in any case, that is that. So, I want to put out a reminder that obviously the new season, as we just went over the cards, is coming out on Tuesday. I will, as I normally do, have 2 season passes to give away. So please make sure that if you are interested in that you come to my X account and you also follow my YouTube channel and subscribe there. And obviously you'll have to retweet the post, do something like that. But make sure you come out and enter the contest, and you too could win a season pass for the Beach Bash season. So that will be, the post for that will be out on Tuesday, and I will draw the winner on Thursday. So for those of you who are listening to this, just be aware that that will be coming soon. So, all right, we are going to move on and get to our next topic here. And let's see what we've got here left on the agenda. I think it's going to be in a snap, and it'll be my week in the game. First, we're going to talk about the limited time game mode, and we'll talk about a little team clash, and of course my week in the game, and of course those two big variants that I was able to pick up. But let's start out with team clash. I'm kind of really curious as to what you guys all think of team clash. When it first started, I thought, oh, this is going to kind of be cool because they were having those events, right, that would go on where you would have to play with like certain couples and things like that, and they were doing that kind of thing, and that's kind of what I thought this would turn into, but it definitely is not that, and it is definitely not turned into that at all. It's this version of it especially is really, really kind of tedious, and especially with the missions and stuff like that, play like the Thunderbolts 10 times, or, play the Avengers 15 times, I don't know. It's just, it's not very fun. And I know you can customize the decks and stuff like that, but the people that are doing that are customizing the decks, and I forget which one this is, but they've already customized it into a Maverick deck clone, where they're playing the Maverick, they're playing the Brood, some of them are playing Iska, so they've already infiltrated it with all those same cards, and really, again, boring. Limited time game modes should be just a fun way to kind of get away from the meta a little bit, and this certainly is not it. So this is kind of quickly turned into one of my least favorite game modes. I just really don't care for it. And like I said, the missions are much more tedious than anything else. They're not fun to do. And I'm really looking forward to, I don't know. I'm hoping something changes and we get something a little bit different down the road. Like I said, I've been preaching to the choir, or anybody who will listen, that we need a different game mode in this game, and not just these LTDs and stuff like that. But we just need a different game mode altogether, I think. And maybe, I don't know. I'm hoping someday it'll be draft. I just don't know. If they would have been getting ready for that, I would think we've been seeing some signs of it by now. But, I was pretty adamant on the fact that they were, because of how many cards are coming out and everything like that. But who knows? I just think it needs a little bit of a shot in the arm, and Team Clash just isn't it. But tell me your thoughts. What do you think about Team Clash? I was quite bored with it. I ended up just spending the gold to get Stick, and yeah, I pretty much was done. I didn't even like the variants really that were in the portal pool. It's Gladiator, and to be honest, and you guys could tell me, but all the Gladiators variants look almost exactly alike. They have the same pose, with him flying up in the air with the cape. Sometimes his fist is up or his fist is out. Like, it's all like the Superman pose, and they're very, very boring. Maria Hills was the coolest one, but who the hell uses that card? Like, nobody cares. Nobody uses Maria Hill. So it's, and I can't even remember the other one now, but it was very, very disappointing. I got the Kingpin, emote, and really, I didn't care about anything else. So I'm not even going to go for any more missions or do any more of it, because it's just, to me, it's just not good. It's just not good. So you guys can tell me your thoughts on that. As far as my week in the game, really, and again, like I said, since I hit Infinite, I really just didn't care. On Infinite Ladder, when I'm playing there, I'm playing my Galactus deck, just because that's the most fun I've had this month, and what I've climbed the most with, ironically. But I the two big things that happened were the two variants that I was able to procure this weekend. One of them, of course, is the Galactus variant that was in that album that I finally, I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. I opened up the game and I looked in the shop. I think it was at work, actually. I was on my break. And I looked in the shop and I saw the Annihilus name come up, and I'm like, it can't be. And then I saw the little, cause I starred that album again, and I think it's the I Am Ivan album, and I saw the star next to the Annihilus. I'm like, oh my God, I don't believe it. I nearly passed out. And I'm like, immediately, boom, I bought it. And immediately went to the album and I got the Galactus, the only Galactus variant that I did not have. I finally was able to get it. I went through and I split it. I got a pretty cool split for it, and stuff. And, but I was flabbergasted. I could not believe that I finally got that. So I was thrilled by that. That was the highlight of my week, really. And then I got the man thing that came out. That was in the bundle. I had to get him because, number one, I love headshots of the characters. I've told you guys that before. I love my the high Evo deck that I have that has the headshot of Hulk and the headshot of She-Hulk and the headshot of Abomination. I would love it if they made all headshot cards. I would absolutely love that. I'd make a deck with all headshots because I always loved those. Like even in comics, I would love it when they would do like a headshot portrait on a comic cover. I think it was just very cool. And so they did a headshot of Man-Thing. And I think that it's the artist that drew that. I think is that same artist that drew all like the Silver Surfer. Very, very colorful. His artwork looks like watercolor paintings to me. And it's very cool. But I'm thrilled that I got the variant. But of course split it a whole bunch. But what that led me to is it led me to get I mastered him. So I now have Man-Thing mastered as well. And I was able to get the Man-Thing reaction set, which is so cute. It's Man-Thing's face, and with the little tentacle on it and stuff like that. And he's got his hands over his, the see no evil, hear no evil thing. And of course the starry-eyed one, that is definitely going to be my reaction set that I'm going to just always have. I like them even better than the Galactus ones. So I will definitely be, I definitely will have those now as my permanent reactions, in the game, even though I never use them. But yeah, so good week overall in variants. In fact, best week in variants, because I was finally able to get that Galactus, which I was shocked. Michael Ivan variant of Annihilus, that I was able to then complete that. And of course it's the Michael Ivan variant of Galactus, that I was never able to get. And I put it out there for everybody to see on the Twitter. I asked which one you liked the best, the inked one, with the purple crackle. I also had the gold one with the gold background and gold crackle. And then I have just the regular, what the card looks like, which is really cool. I mean, you see his head in the background, so it's, the giant head, and then you see kind of smoke in front of him, probably when he's eating the planets. And then and of course I have that one with purple crackle as well. So, but very, very, very happy that I finally was able to get that. So no real decks or anything like that that I really played more than the other, or anything really new. I was really playing just the Galactus. And as far as Team Clash, I kind of just went in and I think I got the Safety Blade decks that he made, that he customed. So I just went over to Safety Blade and I got a lot of the decks that he was using that he had used in a custom in order to play over there. So no real decks to report that I've changed or anything like that. My Galactus deck is the same one that I read out on previous podcasts. So yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, that was kind of my week in the game. And as to what I did and stuff like that in the game. So, but yeah, you guys let me know, like, what do you think of Team Clash? I've got to say that, like I said, I was kind of disappointed in Team Clash and what it's become, and especially the missions. They just seem lazy to me, like no inspiration at all. Like, you know, play this 11 times or play this 5 times. If you know, it's like I said, it's now become the one that I like the least. So, all right. We are going to head over to Comics Corner, and we are going to talk about 3 different people here. So we're going to talk about Ikari. We're going to talk about Lady Bullseye, and we are also going to talk about Stick as well. So let's go and look at, let's talk about Ikari. And of course, I will make these shorter than normal. I'm not going to go over too much. Just going to talk about origins and stuff like that, and where they got their start in the comics, and maybe just a little bit about them. So, all right, Ikari, of course, is male, human. Of course, is dead now, killed by Shroud, was killed in San Francisco, California. Ikari, Japanese for Fury, was a costume martial artist hired by Bullseye to help Lady Bullseye kill Daredevil. Ikari wore a Japanese version of Daredevil's original costume and claimed to have a radar sense just like him. So that's why the red and yellow. Of course, Daredevil's, there's a variant of that in Snap 2 of the red and yellow Daredevil costume. His true identity is unknown, but there is info that he was a proficient combatant, given enhanced senses in an accident identical to Daredevil's. When they fought, Ikari brutally beat Daredevil, nearly killing him. Ikari was hired by the Kingpin to kidnap Daredevil's closest friends, Kristen McDuffie and Foggy Nelson, as leverage. When Murdoch discovered what Kingpin had done, Fisk ordered Ikari to fight Murdoch to the death. If Murdoch won, one of his friends would die. Daredevil and Ikari engaged in combat for hours until the Shroud appeared in the scene, because Kingpin had kidnapped his ex-girlfriend Julia Carpenter and stabbed Ikari with a Dark Force construct before throwing him off the rooftop. After his body disappeared from the ambulance where it was being transported, Ikari's severed head appeared in Kraven's Island hideout, being displayed as a trophy. Well, that's kind of crazy. His powers are superhuman sensory system abilities, highly trained martial artist. He uses, of course, weapons. And let's see, there are 8 appearances of him, 2 minor appearances. And, of course, Daredevil Volume 3, number 25, is where he first appeared. Now, let me see if I can find out. Male comic supervillain. Daredevil number 3, or volume 3, number 25 is where his first appearance was. Let's see here. Ikari then returned back to his masters, where he reported to Bullseye and Lady Bullseye of his victory over Daredevil. Talked about the Kingpin thing. Had been trained to be every bit as equal to Daredevil. He was armed with Kusuragama blades that were sharp enough to cut into bone. Created by Mark Waid, nice, and Chris Samney, where he made his first appearance in Daredevil Volume 3, number 25 in 2013. Ikari met Fury in Japanese. In Daredevil Volume 1, number 611 in 2018, Daredevil experienced a dream world where he saw Ikari was being one of the assassins hired by Mayor Fisk to ambush and kill him, with the villain being rendered unconscious when Claw accidentally sent a sonic blast among his fellow hired killers. So only really 4 appearances. Daredevil Volume 3, number 20, in 2013, Daredevil Volume 4, Daredevil Volume 1, and also Captain America Volume 1. So not a whole lot of appearances for Ikari, but you certainly can You can see him in those particular books. All right, Lady Bullseye. So now look at Lady Bullseye. Maki Matsumoto is a Marvel Comics assassin and mercenary, a female counterpart to Bullseye known for her exceptional skill with weapons like katanas and shuriken, and her mastery of martial arts, making her a formidable opponent for heroes like Daredevil. Originally inspired by Bullseye, she became a ruthless killer, later gaining abilities like limited gaseous form, and also operates as a lawyer, creating a dual identity. She appears in comics, animated series like Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. And the game Marvel Snap. Her origin, a Japanese woman who was inspired to become an assassin after witnessing Bullseye kill her captors. Highly skilled in martial arts, acrobatics, and weapon use. Eventually gained the ability to turn into a gaseous form, making her nearly impossible to defeat. Operates as both a mercenary assassin and a lawyer, making her a rival for Daredevil in both the streets and courtroom. Has worked with the Hand Ninja Clan and other criminal organizations. Created by Ed Brubaker and Clay Mann, first appearing in Daredevil number 111. In Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, the main antagonist in the episode Ride or Die. Hitmonkey, a secondary antagonist, voiced by Reiko Aylesworth. All right, so let's see what else we have. Maki Matsumoto. Formerly the Anti-Arachnine. She was with Masters of Evil for West Coast, the Kingpin, and of course Army of Evil. She is single. 5'6", brown eyes, black hair. She does her quote, "What? Does my disguise not give you a clue? Oh, but then it wouldn't to a blind man, would it?" Of course, she's talking to Daredevil. Born in Japan, the young girl who would become Lady Bullseye was imprisoned by the Yakuza, who planned to sell her and many others into sexual slavery. However, Bullseye, on an unrelated errand, arrived to slaughter the mobsters. The sight of Bullseye effortlessly killing her captors inspired the girl to escape and become a killer. After that, she was trained by Izo to become a skilled fighter, and he promised she would one day lead the Hand. Years later, now in the employ of the Hand, going by the name Lady Bullseye, she accompanied Lord Hirochi to New York to help him in his then unrevealed plan. However, she disrespected Hirochi's orders and used her civilian guise as a lawyer to frame Matt Murdock for murder when he was starting to get in their way. Still, when confronted about this, she promised that Murdock would be prepared for their gift when the time was right. Eventually, she revealed Hiroshi's plans to Daredevil, having him take over the leadership of the Hand and bring it back to its former glory. When he refused the offer, she wasn't surprised. She quickly knocked him out and fled, soon traveling to Spain, preparing to initiate Plan B. There she found the Kingpin trying to live a normal civilian life and killed his new girlfriend and her kids. She brutally stabbed Kingpin, telling him that this was a message for Daredevil. Kingpin returned to New York as planned, and after a while, Lady Bullseye paid him a visit. Confessing he had finally proved himself before the Hand, she brought him before her leaders to offer him the position Daredevil had declined, but upon facing Hiroshi, Kingpin brutally killed him for ordering the deaths in Spain. Still, he'd grown fond of the idea of leading the Hand and wanted to accept the position he'd been offered, but Daredevil and Izo arrived, quickly subduing both Kingpin and Lady Bullseye. Lady Bullseye kept working with Kingpin for a while, but eventually chose to try new things, joining both Baron Zemo's Army of Evil and Masters of Evil West Coast. She then rejoined the Hand after the Punisher became the new head of the Hand, and the Fist of the Beast, Lady Bullseye and Lord Deathstrike, didn't believe he was fit for the position, and one night, didn't want that to happen, attacked him to prove him unworthy. They easily disarmed him and were about to shoot him when the Beast's power surged through him, and he threw a dagger infused with the Beast's power, striking Deathstrike in the chest, killing him. Witnessing this, Lady Bullseye bowed before the Punisher, pledging her allegiance. She's a master martial artist, a weapons master, peak human condition, emotional self-control, master disguise artist, and possesses law acumen. formerly utilized a jetpack, and she is faster, actually, than Bullseye. She's appeared in comics 73 times. Yeah, so there you go. So that is Lady Bullseye. And then, last but not least, and this is probably one of the most important figures in Daredevil, and that is Stick. Of course, Stick is the trainer, and we've seen him played by Scott Glenn. He was, of course, in Daredevil in the movie, and also Terrence Stamp in the Elektra movie. And his first appearance is Daredevil number 176 in November of 1981. And of course, he was in the big part, of course, in Frank Miller's Daredevil. So that's kind of where I learned about him, because I never really read Daredevil until I read the Frank Miller stuff, and then I kind of went back and started really getting into the character. All right, so Stick is, of course, group affiliation with the Fist, formerly with Red Team and Chased. His relatives, he has an unnamed wife and unnamed children, as an unnamed daughter. He is married. Physical characteristics: male, 5'9", 135 pounds, blue eyes, gray hair, and formerly was black. Human, of course, alive. New York City. He was killed by the Punisher and revived by Maestro. His identity is secret. Leader of the Chased. He is a ninja sensei and a pool hustler. And, of course, base of operations is New York. Chased's headquarters atop a mountain in an undisclosed location. Creator was, of course, Frank Miller. Daredevil 176 in July of 1981. And a quote from him: "A blind man does not trust any way another man tells him to step. You've got to know the way. Know which path to walk, Matt Murdock." Very little has been revealed about the past of the man known as Stick. According to himself, Stick was born in the street, possibly in New York, supposedly the reincarnation of Yamato Takaru, Japanese hero who lived nearly 2 millennia ago, and whose soul imbued the sacred sword Kusanagi no Tsurugi, aka Grass Cutter. Stick may have demonstrated martial arts skills at an early age, despite being blind since birth. By his mid-teens, the future warrior was undergoing mystic training from the Ancient One, Sorcerer Supreme. It was perhaps under his tutelage that Stick honed his remaining senses to superhuman levels, since he easily concealed his blindness from others. Stick became a master of an elite order of warriors known as the Chased, found by his blind master Izo, who made their base atop a mountain in an unidentified location. However, 55 years prior to the present, Izo was soon thrown out by his students, led by Stick, for his excessive drinking and gambling, which they found disgusting and disgraceful. Leadership to the Chased was then given a Stick, much to Izo's disgust, as he felt the strict and prudish rules of the current Chased would eventually make them no different from the Hand. As leader of the Chased, Stick himself became a brilliant master of martial arts, and took his name from the long stick that he utilized in combat. The Chase members also developed mental abilities of either a psionic or mystical nature, such as the power to communicate telepathically. It was required of the Chased that they rid themselves of destructive emotions such as hatred. For years, Stick's warriors battled against the Hand, a Japanese-based criminal organization of ninjas who acted as mercenaries and assassins, and who served the demonic entity known as the Beast. A number of years ago in New York City, Matthew Murdock, who was then not yet an adult, was accidentally bombarded by radiation from a canister of radioactive waste material. This unknown radiation blinded him, but also heightened his senses. Sometime after young Murdock was released from the hospital to which he was brought after the accident, he was found by Stick. It was Stick who taught Murdock how to control his newly heightened senses, and who guided him in mastering his so-called radar sense, which resembled Stick's own proximity sense. Stick also trained Murdock in methods of hand-to-hand combat. Later, while attending Columbia University, Murdock met and fell in love with his fellow student Elektra Nachios. Murdock revealed to her that he had superhumanly heightened senses that compensated for his blindness. It's not known whether or not Murdock told Elektra about Stick. After Elektra's father, a Greek ambassador, is killed by terrorists, the anguished young woman broke off her relationship with Murdoch and left Columbia. She had already had training in the martial arts. Before she came to Columbia after her father's death, she went to Japan to study the martial arts at a school headed by a sensei who had been cast out of the chaste years before being unworthy of membership. Under this unnamed sensei's guidance, Elektra achieved great prowess in the martial arts. However, she was filled with hatred toward the world for the death of her father. The sensei told her about Stick's order in the hope that Stick could teach her how to achieve the peace of mind and spirit that had been attained by all members of the chaste. Stick accepted Elektra as a pupil, and she was trained by him for a year. During this time, she improved her combat skills even further, and also began learning to develop and use the same mental powers possessed by the members of the order. Finally, though, Stick expelled her since she was unable to rid herself of the destructive emotions that had filled her since the murder of her father. Stick realized that Elektra might join the Hand as a result, and as indeed she did. Still later, Elektra left the Hand and became an independent mercenary assassin. Stick relocated to New York City to monitor Daredevil's activities. He haunts primarily compromised pool halls where he indulged in the trifecta of drinking, gambling, and keeping a vigilant eye on his surroundings. His penchant for shrewd maneuvers became evident when he evaded settling his debt of $200 with Joseph Wall-Eyed Pike on the fateful day at Duke's. Amidst his customary hustle of locals like Filch, Stick found himself in the midst of an unexpected encounter. As fate would have it, Heather Glenn and Daredevil simultaneously sought him out. Each for their own reasons, Daredevil swiftly dispatched the thugs accompanying Stick, yet found himself on the receiving end of a lecture from the seasoned mentor for his reckless actions. However, their tete-a-tete was interrupted by Turk Barrett, clad in a formidable mech suit, burst onto the scene. In a display of his unparalleled skills, Daredevil effortlessly overcame this new threat, much to Stick's bemusement. There's a lot more about him. Obviously, he's a big-time character, and he was the mentor of Daredevil. Of course, he has radar sense, very similar to what Daredevil does, possibly better. Could be psionic in nature. Sonar simulation. His enhanced hearing allowed him to hear faint echoes that the sounds, even those created by his body, in other words, in otherwise total silence. Heightened senses. Chi manipulation. Astral projection. Seems Stick can appear in a spirit or ghost-like form. Of course, martial arts. Weapons. Paraphernalia uses a bow stick. Trivia, 1937, Logan encountered a mystic accompanied by a young boy carrying a stick. The mystic strongly resembled the Ancient One, and some have speculated that the boy was Stick, as Stick has been known to be trained by the Ancient One. Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is based on Stick, due to the similarity in name as well as role as mentor and martial arts teacher. Oh, that's cool. And yeah, there you go. So that is Stick, and that is going to end the Daredevil month in Comics Corner. So let's go over to the Unlimited app, and we'll check out this week's books. See, we got in new this week. Strange Scales, Infinity Comic number 6. Marvel Rivals, Infinity Comic number 52. With Alien, the friendliest facehugger. They're making everything into a cute book. How the hell can you make Alien cute? Yeah, but it does kind of look cute. Issue number 5. Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Brooklyn's Finest, issue number 18. Fantastic Four, 2025, issue number 8. Invincible is in that. Null, issue number 2. That's 2026 series. Wolverine, 2024, issue number 16. Ultimate Spider-Man, number 24. And this is the end. The final issue of that book. Oh, I'm so sad. Such a good book, too, man. I'm really going to miss it. Really going to miss it. Although they're continuing it somehow. Daredevil Punisher, The Devil's Trigger, issue number 4. X-Men 2024, issue number 25. Star Wars, issue number 10, which I will read most of those. Deadly Hands of Kunlun, issue number 1. That's a new one. That's got Lin Lee, Iron Fist. No, that can't be Dr. Fate. Jeez, that's DC. Boy, he looks a lot like Dr. Fate. I don't know who that is. It's Jeff Meets Daredevil, issue number 1. Oh, that should be interesting. Captain America, this is the Sam Wilson Cap, up to issue number 7. New Avengers, looks like Carnage is in that, issue number 9. 1776, issue number 4. Psi-Dimensional Rivals, issue number 2. Doctor Strange is up to issue number 3 in his new book. Dungeons of Doom, issue number 2. Uncanny X-Men, issue number 24. Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 22. X-Men Infinity Comic, issue number 18. Black Panther 60th Anniversary Special, number 1. Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon, number 1. And lastly, Generation X-23, and that is also issue number 1. So a lot of new stuff coming out this week in the app. And again, you can get the Marvel Unlimited app for $9.99 a month. And that will let you read any of these kind of comics that you hear me talk about. If you want to read about the origin of Stick, you're going to check out all the Daredevil stuff, and all those good things if you want to find out about these characters that we are playing in the game. All right. Obviously, I will always say as well, if you have a comic book shop near you, go and visit them and patron that comic book shop because they can use your patronage. And it's always very good to give them some money and help them to keep that wonderful tradition alive. All right, we're moving on to a minute at the movies. We're going to go all over the latest news that we have from the movies. And this will be all different categories, of course. And then we'll go over and we'll finish up with Pixel Perspective, and we'll talk about video games a little bit. This week I'm going to talk a lot about this film, but obviously Disclosure Day got its final trailer, and I am probably more excited about this. I could be more excited about this than some of the superhero stuff that's coming out later this year. I loved UFO stuff ever since I was a kid. And, seeing this, and this is Steven Spielberg again doing it. I'm so excited. They dropped the final trailer for it. Cannot wait to see this on June 12th. I've got my tickets. I'm going. They showed the alien in it. And the last trailer is just mind blowing. I absolutely cannot wait to go see it. And if you're interested in any of that stuff, UFOs or what could be out there or things like that, then you're not going to want to miss this. People are saying, like, literally the some of the people who have gotten to see it have said this is the best film Steven Spielberg has done in over 20 years. Of course, John Williams is scoring it. I can't see how this can be a miss, especially for me. I'm a big, like I said, I loved all that stuff. I've watched shows like Project UFO on TV. I've watched, there was a more recent one too. Now I can't remember. It's on the History Channel, but I watched that, Blue Book something. I watched that. Anything I could get my hands on to read or anything like that about aliens, of course, Close Encounters, E.T., all the other stuff that Steven did, the War of the Worlds remake, the original War of the Worlds, I loved. I mean, anything I could watch, I did, and I'm so excited. And of course, there is a popcorn bucket. Of course, I mean there would be. They're really reaching with these popcorn buckets. This one is a deer with the cardinal on its head. And I know that they're in the trailer, and more than likely are probably aliens that are disguised as other creatures or want people to see them as other creatures instead of the aliens. But this one basically has the deer has popcorn, kind of looks like in his butt. It's really dumb. There's no way I'd be getting this popcorn bucket. No way. The other thing we have coming out very soon is James Gunn's Supergirl. And there was, of course, a picture posted of Superman and Supergirl together on the set. So it says, first ever photo of the cousins together on the set of Superman. Millie Alcock, of course, playing Supergirl. And it's in theaters in just about a month. So that will be coming very soon. This is a little bit of an announcement. So this is from Dark Horse Comics. I've always read Dark Horse stuff over the years. I thought they had some very good titles and stuff that I've read through. They are forming, the workers of the comics are forming a union. So that's kind of cool. Obviously, not something you saw very much with comic books. So good for them. Star Wars next year is going to have the 50th anniversary of the original 1977 Star Wars film. It's going to be shown in IMAX. For that one, I'll tell you what, I may drive to Philadelphia to go see it. Or King of Prussia, or wherever the true IMAX theater is that's closest to me. I may go to see it there, because I have to see this. And it says the unaltered 1977 Star Wars returns to the big screen February 19th of 2027 for a limited 50th anniversary run. Oh, I didn't know it was in February. That kind of sucks. That's still winter for us. Oh, man. For a taster, here's the original 12-minute Battle of Yavin, exactly as it was played in 1977, for the true Star Wars diehards. So some Star Wars news there. Of course, Spider Noir came out in the last couple of days with Nicolas Cage. 2 ways to watch it. You can either watch it in color or watch it in black and white, or as I did, switch off. And apparently they said like the first 3 episodes are best to watch in black and white. And then when you get past those, they said to switch over to color because the color looks amazing. This has been really good. I kind of knew it would be. Nicolas Cage has just been hitting on all cylinders lately with the stuff that he's been doing. So if you haven't watched it, check it out. Of course, it's based on the character from the animated stuff. And but it is very good. And he's fighting some of the classic villains. It's Sandman, Electro. Some of the classic villains are in there. So yeah, check it out if you haven't. It is definitely worth the watch. And it goes by pretty quickly. So... again, we're going back a little bit. Disclosure Day's first reaction. Steven Spielberg's best film in 20 years. Return to the UFO genre is getting early praise. A dense roller coaster ride blending chase, film, love story, and mystery. And these are some of the reviews. Collider Stephen Wintrob says, in a shock to absolutely no one, Steven Spielberg has delivered another towering home run with Disclosure Day. I could go on and on about what I loved, but I was lucky enough to see the movie knowing almost nothing. And I strongly recommend you do the same. Stop watching the trailers. The one thing I will say, Emily Blunt is incredible. I know big summer movies aren't usually the kind of performances that get award season attention. But once people see what she does in this, it's obviously big props for Emily Blunt. I've seen her on some interviews for it too. Slash Films' Bill Bria writes, Disclosure Day is the weirdest movie Spielberg's ever made. Complimentary. Breathtaking compositions. David Koepp's X-Files meets the Bible script is one big high-wire act. Emily Blunt's most accomplished performance. John Williams' best score in years. Riveting, moving stuff, says Bill Bria. IndieWire's Jim Hemphill says Disclosure Day is top-tier Spielberg, as exhilarating as Raiders of the Lost Ark, but with the emotional texture and increased ambition of his post-9/11 work. Right from the opening, Spielberg lays down the gauntlet and reminds you that he does this stuff better than anybody in the history of film. Gizmodo's Germaine Lucier says, I love Disclosure Day, a dense roller coaster ride blending chase, film, love story, and mystery all wrapped up in sci-fi wonder. It's Spielberg's best film in 20 years, filled with all the magic that makes his film so special, plus an all-time character performance by Emily Blunt. Freelance critic Tessa Smith says, Disclosure Day is absolutely phenomenal, in caps. Truly something special. I was hanging on to every word, captivated by the story as it all played out. The score perfectly elevates every single scene, part mystery, part Twilight Zone, something new entirely. I shed a tear at the end. Wow, in caps. I'm telling you, I can't wait. This is from Marvel. Time to get the X-Men back to the 90s. Marvel Animation's X-Men 97 Season 2 streams July 1st, only on Disney+. And they're also in development of a Season 4 already. So they're going to keep pumping this out. Very, very popular. It says the plan is to release a new season every year of X-Men 97. They have since given, because they're filming the next season of Daredevil Born Again, so you're getting some scenes, and you have been given the first look at Bullseye's new costume in Born Again 3, and it is very, very comic accurate, so very cool. Disclosure Day is also going to be in IMAX. It is not filmed, though, in IMAX, so I don't think I'm going to go see it in an IMAX theater. We only have one that's even really, really remotely close to me, and it's not even really true IMAX, so I'm probably just going to see it in Cinemark. Stan Lee's voice and likeness has been sold off to be recreated by AI for 11 Labs. And there's a quote, you know what they never tell you about legends, they outlive the page. AI Stan Lee. Oh boy, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Back to Spider-Man Noir. It's certified fresh on the tomato meter, 91% from the reviews and 93% by the popcorn rating. So definitely check that out. It was very good. Some Marvel news. Marvel is reportedly actively looking for the next Black Panther. The top contenders are John David Washington and Damson Idris. So the people that are possibly going to be looking to play the role, and they're looking to obviously recast Black Panther. Indiana Jones may have wrapped up his latest cinematic adventure with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, but Disney and Marvel are proving the legendary archaeologist still has plenty of treasure left to uncover. Marvel officially announced 2 premium hardcover collections arriving this September that bring some of Indy's most beloved comic book adventures back into print for longtime fans and collectors. That's cool. Yeah, they did have an Indiana Jones comic book back in the day. So they're coming out with collections of that. Via a press release from Marvel, the newly revealed Indiana Jones, The Further Adventures Book 1 and Book 2 hardcovers celebrate Marvel's classic 1980s comics era, when the publisher expanded the franchise beyond the films with original globetrotting stories. Between the striking leatherette covers, debossed artwork, and ribbon bookmarks, these editions already look designed to sit proudly beside the franchise's most iconic relics. That's cool. It's cool when they bring those reprints back, especially for the comics that people kind of missed out on and never really read them. This is a quote from Mel Brooks. Obviously, Mel doing Spaceballs 2 after all these years. God bless, 100 years old, and he's in the film. Mel Brooks, on the only condition George Lucas imposed on him before allowing him to make his satire on Star Wars, which was Spaceballs, of course, in 1987. The same way I called Alfred Hitchcock to get his blessing on High Anxiety in 1977, I sent the Spaceballs scripted Star Wars creator George Lucas. If not to get his blessing, then certainly to give him a heads up on what I was doing vis-a-vis Star Wars. He was kind enough to read it and respond. He said he had seen Blazing Saddles in 1974 and Young Frankenstein also in 74 and was a big fan. He enjoyed the script and only had one real caveat for me: no action figures. So no Spaceballs, the flamethrower, or Spaceballs, the toys. He explained that if I made toys of my Spaceballs characters, they would look a lot like Star Wars action figures, and that would be a no-no for his lawyers, and said his studio's business affairs department. So he gave his blessing to make my funny, satiric takeoff of Star Wars, as long as I promised that we would not sell any action figures. That's pretty funny. I said, you're absolutely right, and that was one of the rules we didn't break. So even though in the movie itself we have Dark Helmet playing with action figures, we never sold any. The exchange with George Lucas also triggered a beloved comedy scene in which a character that I played, Yogurt, at Takeoff on Yoda, responds to Lone Star's question of what is this place? What is it that you do here, with the whole expose of the movie's business. So even though we didn't actually do any commercial merchandising, we still had a lot of fun with the scene. And over the years, Spaceballs movie fans have sent me more than one mock-up of Spaceballs the breakfast cereal. Mel Brooks on making of Spaceballs. That's cool. Yeah, you know, at least he had some fun with it. And if you watch Spaceballs, you know when he does it, Spaceballs the merchandising, Spaceballs the flamethrower, Spaceball, that, you know, is one of the really funny scenes in the film. So that's kind of cool. Marvel updates reportedly had discussions with Jacob Elordi, Nicholas Galitzine, Lakeith Stanfield, and Brenton Thwaites for roles in the MCU. So a lot of this you're going to start to see because the casting is occurring for X-Men. because they're supposed to start filming. The rumors they're supposed to start filming the next X-Men movie the end of this year. So there are younger actors and stuff like that they're going to probably be looking to go forward with in the future. We're going back to Disclosure Day. Emily Blunt now believes in UFOs after researching for Disclosure Day. This is a quote from her. This certainly sparked the fires of my imagination when I started researching everything to do with people who have had these experiences from the congressional hearings that had taken place. Every documentary, the docuseries. I think that the thing I was struck by was how inarguable it seemed to me that people were lying. There was this absolute peaceful truth pouring out of them. They know what they saw. They believe it, even if they've been discredited, disvalued, kicked out, lost their jobs, accused of being whistleblowers. They believe it. There was a sort of universal peacefulness, I think, in all of them as to what they had seen and that they had been awestruck by it and shifted by it. I just found it very healing, actually, watching all these people talk about this otherworldly experience that they had. And I think it would be a very good thing for human beings to question their place in the universe. I said, I think it might be an arrogant thing to assume that we know everything, that we're alone. I mean, they just discovered 1,000 new species in our oceans this year on Earth. So why would we imagine that we know everything that's out there in the universe? Yeah, I agree with that. Tom Holland wants to mentor whoever becomes the next Spider-Man in the MCU. And he says, quote, whether that is a Miles Morales or a Spider-Gwen, I would love to be part of setting up the next chapter like Downey did for me. Yeah, you have to kind of wonder how many more of these movies that Tom is probably going to want to do. I read somewhere that he is definitely going to be. He's signed on for 2 more films, 2 more Spider-Man films after this upcoming one. And of course, he's going to be not in Doomsday, but he's going to be in Secret War. So there's going to be other appearances for him. But he's signed on for at least 2 more films. One of those, I would have to think, is going to be some sort of crossover with the Fantastic Four. Because we have to see that, right? Like Spider-Man and Johnny Storm, I mean, you go back so far. We've got to know that that's going to happen at some point. Spider Noir creators have more plans for Nicolas Cage. Showrunner Oren Uziel, alongside producers Phil Lord and Chris Miller, shared they'd like to see Spider Noir expand into future seasons, even hinting at a time jump to place Ben Reilly in World War II. That's cool. Again, I had a little pic of Bullseye's costume. Looks really good. Tom Holland says he hopes fans learn from Peter's loneliness in Spider-Man Brand New Day. I really hope young people everywhere will watch this film and appreciate the importance of community and that you don't have to do this alone. In the digital age, it's so easy to become lonely. Yeah, that's cool. That's a good message by Tom. A little bit on toys. Star Wars is releasing some new action figures of old characters. And how about this one? A long-deserved character that never got anything as far as action figures are concerned, getting a classic figure, and that's Wedge Antilles. The poor dude never had an action figure, and he's been in it since the start, right? Since they attacked the Death Star in 1977. Princess Leia in her gown when she gives out the awards with the medals and stuff like that at the end of Star Wars, she's getting one. These are all from A New Hope. Garindan, that's that creature that has the long kind of like metal snout that ends up being like a spy and tells the Imperials that Obi-Wan is in the cantina. R4M9, he's the Death Star droid that looks like R2-D2, but he's black and white. And then the other one, CZ3, he kind of looked creepy. He was like a skeleton-looking droid in the original Star Wars, so that's cool that they're making action figures of all those. And let's see here, more Spider Noir. Which Spider Noir episode should you watch in color or black and white? And then this says episodes 1 to 3, black and white. Perfect introduction to Ben Reilly's world. Captures the dark 1930s New York atmosphere, pure noir vibes. Episodes 4 and 5 in color, stunningly saturated visuals. So there you go if you haven't seen it yet. Marvel Studios has reportedly approached these actresses for MCU roles. Tiana Taylor, Jodie Turner-Smith, Samara Weaving, and Elle Fanning. So again, looking for those younger actors and stuff that they're going to be using in future films. 2 new posters came out for Brand New Day. Peter Parker kind of climbing on glass, and then you can see the shadow of Spider-Man, and then there's a reverse where you see Spider-Man on the glass and then Peter Parker. And we are getting some stuff finally for Doomsday. So the merchandising is starting to hit a little bit. We've got a Dr. Doom, a picture of Doom's face. We've got a picture that looks almost like animation. It's got the Avengers logo down at the bottom, but we see Thing. We see Sam Wilson's Cap. We see Thor. We see Doom in the middle. We see Cyclops and Yelena Belova. And then, of course, the three symbols colliding, which really to me would maybe mean universes are colliding here. But we've got the Fantastic Four that's inside of like a circle colliding with the X-Men. That's inside of a red circle and then colliding with the Avengers. So that to me seems to point out what everyone had said that to be true, that these three universes, so the Fantastic Four's universe from their film, the X-Men universe, which would be, of course, the Fox universe with the X-Men and probably Toby and all the other people that are in the Deadpool, Wolverine, combining with the current Avengers one and all colliding. So I would think that is. And then, of course, the Russo brothers teased this big green box, which ended up being the flag of Doom for Latveria. So kind of cool. The Midnight comics, which I mentioned, I think, in the last show, that are coming out that are going to be horror comics. The X-Men one has a tribute cover to one of my all-time favorite vampire movies, and that's Fright Night. Looks so cool. Has Storm in the middle of it, and has the shadows and stuff coming out of it. I love that movie, and it's pictured above the X Mansion. So very cool. I'm excited for these comics. More Devil Born Again stuff. Season 3 will reportedly feature a fight scene between Bullseye and Elektra. So Elektra Nachios is coming back. And probably the same actress that played her in the Netflix series. So that's kind of cool. And then, of course, we have a picture of Doom as well in the merchandising. Full standing Doom. And behind him, you see the Thing. You see what looks like Beast. Mr. Fantastic. Sam Wilson's Cap. You see Cyclops. Yelena, Thor, and what looks like Deadpool down at the very bottom. So the merchandising is coming out. This is completely different. Inspector Gadget. Anybody remember the cartoon Inspector Gadget? Inspector Gadget. I used to like the villain in it, Dr. Claw. I will get you, Gadget. I used to love that, except for how he picked on the cat. That I didn't like too much, but they're making a movie, and Will Ferrell is in talks to star as Inspector Gadget. Perfect cast. That's going to be hilarious if he's in that. Sean Anders from Daddy's Home and Spirited is set to direct it. That'll be funny. I always loved that cartoon. Had a blast with that. Another merchandising picture has a big pic of Green Hulk fighting Spider-Man. And then there's another one called Caught in the Spider's Web, and it's Spider-Man up on top, and then showing the villains. It has Tarantula, it has Boomerang, and then it has, of course, Scorpion, and then it has the Hulk. So obviously he's going to fight Hulk in this. See the Wallcrawler take on 4 of his fiercest foes. And then how about this? In Fortnite, and this can kind of transition into pixel perspective, but first look at John Wick and his dog in the next Fortnite season. So John Wick and his dog are going to be in Fortnite. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And I think since I talked to you guys last, they had announced that Jason Voorhees, my boy, is going to be in Dead by Daylight. So I'm going to have to learn really quickly how to play Dead by Daylight, because I've got to get my hands on a video game that actually has Jason in it. So I will definitely be I will be playing Dead by Daylight. Although I don't know how I'm going to do it, because the killer's perspective is first person, unfortunately. So maybe I'll have to take Dramamine. I don't know. But I'm definitely going to have to do that. And this from Screen Rant, Kevin Feige teased a Spider-Man Fantastic Four team-up. And the quote is that that's one of the key relationships in Marvel Comics is Johnny Storm and Peter Parker. We've never been able to come close to it before. And now it's in the realm of possibility. That's exciting. That gets me up in the morning. Yeah, it's got to happen. Got to happen. And how about this one? Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, crowned as the #1 best sci-fi film of all time. I don't know how that earned that, but listen, that's very hard to argue with. Star Wars blew my mind as a kid. And then The Empire Strikes Back came out in 1982, and I was just I was mesmerized by The Empire Strikes Back when I was how old was I then? 13. I mean, unbelievable. The Hoth battle with the walkers, and the of course the scene where Luke and Vader fight at the end, just so good. One of my favorite films of all time, for sure. So well deserved. And then just this little aside for those of you who play other card games, Magic the Gathering Marvel Superheroes Play Booster Box. Pre-order price is all the way down to $129.99, originally $189, and it comes out on June 26th. So if you're a Magic player and you want to play with the Marvel characters, this is your chance. They did that Spider-Man set, and now they are doing a Marvel Superheroes set for Magic the Gathering. So there you go. That is a minute, or very much longer than a minute, at the movies for this week. So, all right, really quickly, we'll go into some Pixel stuff, and we'll look at some, check out some new video game releases. I finally got Lego Batman. And it took a ton of time to get sent to me, but I finally got it on Saturday, so I'm excited to play. I'm excited to play it tomorrow, which I will be doing. Saw some people playing it, and but I'm excited for that. So we'll look up new video games in June, because guys, it's June. It is June. It's after midnight. It's officially June. Okay. June 2026 game releases. Let's see what's coming out. New Star Fox remake announced for Nintendo Switch 2. Kind of cool if you're a Star Fox fan. And here's what we've got. So June 2nd is a game called Fake Keeper on PC. June 3rd, eFootball Kickoff on Nintendo Switch 2. June 3rd, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth releases on Xbox Series X and S and also PC. On June 4th, the 7th Guest Remake, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, PC, and this Nintendo Switch. On the 4th, also, Donkey Kong 64 comes to Switch 2 and Switch. Also on the 4th, River City Saga Journey to the West, coming out on PlayStation 5, PC, and Nintendo Switch. Also on the 4th, Tetris, the Grandmaster 4 Absolute Eye, comes out for the Switch. On the 5th, Gothic 1 Remake. On the 8th is Solar Punk, which is PC only. On the 9th, Destiny 2, Shadow and Order to all the systems. The 9th is NBA The Run on all the systems. Also on the 9th, Tavern Talk, Stories Dreamwalker for PC and Nintendo Switch. The 9th is Voidling Bound on PC. The 10th is Crushed in Time on PC. The 11th has Frog Squad on Xbox Series X and PC. 11th also has Sportal for all the systems. Also Star Seeker, Astroneer, Expeditions Early Access. That's on PlayStation, Xbox Series X, PC, and Nintendo Switch 2. Tales of Seikyu 1.0 launch, that's PC. A game called To a T on Nintendo Switch. Unrailed 2 Back on Track, PC, PlayStation 5, and the Switch. Dench Attack, The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales. A game called Anne Roger. Hell Let Loose Vietnam. R-Type Tactics and 1 and 2 Cosmos, that's the 18th. Soccer Kid Collection comes out on the 18th. Uso Natsu, The Summer Romance Bloom from a Lie on Nintendo Switch. EA Sports UFC 6 for those of you who are the UFC fight fans. PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo, Xbox Series X and S. Masalia, Echoes of the Past for PC on the 19th. Dark Scrolls, PC and Nintendo Switch on the 22nd. Destroy All Humans, Nintendo Switch 2. Mold Washer for PC on the 23rd. Dead or Alive 6, Last Round on the 25th for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Seiko Giantess Dating Sim, Nintendo Switch on the 25th. Star Fox, Nintendo Switch 2 on the 25th. Tevi Fauna Arcana on the PC on the 25th. And Monopoly Star Wars Heroes vs. Villains. That comes out on the 30th of the month for all of the systems. So there you go. And then, of course, they ranked top 10 for these games. Let's see what they have them ranked here. Copa City, a non-traditional soccer game where instead of being a player or coach, you're an event organizer who can manage facilities, create infrastructure, provide security, and more. They have that there, number 10. Hollow Body, released in PC in 2024, is a retro survival horror game that promises all the usual genre tropes like limited resources and environmental puzzles, in addition to shooting stuff. There's a fun PS1 era aesthetic at work here. Dead or Alive 6 Last Round, an update of 2019's Dead or Alive 6 Last Round, features updated graphics, 5 fighters, previously available as bonuses or DLC, and a photo mode for, well, you know. And number 7 is Solar Punk, a survival game with a twist, as instead of navigating some dystopian future or calamitous past, Solar Punk is set in an advanced world comprised of floating islands. Construction, farming, and exploration await. UFC 6, which I mentioned, the 6th entry in the series. The Adventures of Elliot the Millennium Tales, which I mentioned this too. An RPG that looks like Octopath Traveler from Square, say less. Star Fox, full remake for the Nintendo Switch 2, is landing late in June. NBA The Run, I mentioned this one. This looks like a spiritual successor to NBA Street and to a lesser extent NBA Jam. That's cool. NBA Jam was always fun. Hell Let Loose Vietnam. This is a tactical 50 versus 50 online multiplayer where communication and strategy are key to success. The original, set in World War II, is rock solid. A switch to Vietnam and its rich jungle environments is oozing with potential. And then we have the Gothic 1 remake. Another full remake. This time it's the 2001 RPG Gothic that's getting the treatment. While the original never hooked me the way Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind did, I'm still interested to see what developer Alchemia Interactive does with an open-world title from that same time. So there you go, guys. That is the Pixel Perspective stuff. I will be playing Lego Batman, and I will let you guys know how that is. I'll be doing that tomorrow, and I'm sure probably a little bit the next day as well. I was going to go see the Backrooms, but I did not. But I want to end up seeing it at some point in time. It looks really good. And of course, I've watched people online play the game, Jacksepticeye's videos for that. And I also watched the lore of the Backrooms, which were done by a YouTuber. How about these YouTube creators? What an amazing thing, right? The guy who did Obsession, and that which is killing it at the box office, like made already way past its budget, couple $100 million on a very low budget. And now this gentleman who did the Backrooms, are now making these films and are going to be these next big directors out of nowhere. Very cool. And maybe they'll get some of the bigger properties somewhere down the road. So that's exciting. Very, very cool to see. So, well, guys, listen, that's going to do it for me for this particular week. Again, I will have the newer one out, very soon. I'm not going to go, it'll probably be out later this week. I would say probably Thursday. Might be the same night when I do the drawing, for the season passes. Remember, I will have 2 season passes to give away, for the Beach Bash. So remember to go to my Twitter, and remember to you'll have to retweet the post. You'll have to sub to my YouTube channel if you haven't done that already. And again, thank you all for listening wherever you may listen, whether it be on Spotify or audio, or whether you're heading to my YouTube channel and listening to it over there. I appreciate all of you for doing that. I really, really do. It means a lot. Thank you so much. Drop me some comments and stuff like that. Remember, tell me what your favorite card for this month is going to be. I'll probably have you do that maybe for the giveaway as well, or what card you're looking forward to the most for this month. And again, I am part of the Snap Judgments League of Podcasts, which has awesome podcasts such as Snap Judgments, of course, Glazer's Pod, where he always has some cool creators and stuff on there with him. He does that on Saturdays. And of course, Glazer always does a video every single day talking about new decks and things to try and stuff like that. So make sure you give Glazer a follow. Check out his videos. He does a lot of work for Marvel Snap and a lot for the community. And of course, Snap on This with Lauren Whatevs, your host, with It's Just Re, and with Ben Roller. Those guys have great chemistry. They have a good time. They make you laugh. They do their secret homework stuff. They rank the cards. They talk about their weeks in Snap and all that kind of stuff. And just very, very fun to listen to. They all have different opinions on different things. Ree talks a lot about comics. Ben talks a lot about other video games and stuff that he plays, and things like that. And Lauren, of course, the Nintendo expert, and talks a lot about things that she does as well. So very fun show. So make sure you check that out. That's out every single Friday on Spotify and all wherever you find the audio pods, but of course on their YouTube channel as well. So again, guys, I apologize for this being so late. I'm going to get it out very, very soon. Thank you all for being patient. Thank you all for checking out the pod wherever it is you may do that. I appreciate all of you for doing so. And hopefully I will talk to you all on the next episode of Snap Decisions. This is your Snap DJ signing off.